Good evening to one and all. Welcome you all to the daily Indian Express newspaper analysis for the date 3rd November 2023, brought to you by Ganesh IAS Academy. Okay, let's get into the today's newspaper analysis. So mentioned in this slide is the list of articles which we are going to have the analysis in the upcoming slides. So have a look at it. Okay, let's get into the analysis of each and every article one by one. Developing countries need at least 10 times more fund for climate adaptation according to UN report. So the news is related to the climate change and then the mitigation activity or the adaptation activity. The news is related with civil service examination under a topic called general issues on environmental ecology, biodiversity and climate change. Similarly under mains it is linked with conservation, environmental pollution, degradation and environmental impact assessment. Okay, let's get into the analysis part of the news. Recently, the United Nations Environmental Program has released a report titled Emission Gap Report, where it has analyzed the climate finance related area in terms of the climate adaptation. So it has brought out some facts as well as the way forward. We will look into those facts and what are all the challenges and what are all the way forward it has been given by the report. See, the finance flow that is occurring in developing countries for climate adaptation activities, it not closer to the what it actually required. So during 2021, nearly $21 billion have been flowed to developing country from various sources for their adaptation activities, which is 15% less than the previous year, that is 2020. And then the fresh assessment survey, what it is saying is that the fund flow that is required for climate adaptation activities for the developing countries is nearly 215 billion per year. And then the range of adaptation measures which is being made by the countries, that is the most importantly the developing countries, are the strengthening of coastline, building sea walls, temperature resistant crops, climate resilient infrastructure, and then securing the source of water and enable the people to cope up with better rising temperature. These are all the adaptation activities being taken up by the developing countries, but the fund that has been utilized for these activities is very lesser when compared to what it actually required. So the adaptation, how the emission gap report or the United Nations Environmental Program is calculating the adaptation finance gap is by making a difference between what is the estimated adaptation finance and what it actually been implemented at the ground level. So by making taking out the difference between these two, we could able to arrive at the emission finance gap for the adaptation program being implemented by the countries. And then what the report is also saying is that the adaptation gap is nearly 10 to 18% higher than the international financial flows that is happening in the developing countries for their adaptation activities. And then during 2009 conference of parties, the developed countries have pledged to provide some $100 billion per year from 2020, but until now it has not been materialized yet. But during 2021 summit, they have revamped and then they have relooked the commitment which they have given in the 2009, and what the developed countries have said is that so they will be fixing up a new target from 2025 which will be higher than the 100 billion target which was fixed earlier, so that the amount after that will be provided by developed countries after 2025 will be somewhat more than the 100 billion per year. But even if they are going to double what the pledge they have given during 2009, will not be sufficient for the climate adaptation activity. So this is what the details being brought out by the emission gap report. See, even if they are doubling, so according to the estimate in quantitatively, quantitative wise, it could reduce only the gap by a mere 5 to 10%. So this is how it has been, and the report is also saying is that, what it is saying is that the public finance alone only will not be sufficient for meeting the adaptation requirements or the any other climate finance requirement. There need to be involvement of private funds also. So what is the ways that we could able to mobilize the private finance for the climate finances? There need to be loosening up of the tightened regulation that has happened after 2008 economic crisis. So because of this economic crisis, the banks as well as the multilateral international banks have tightened their rules and regulations, which has reduced the free flow of private funds to the different sectors, which need to be relooked, and they need to be retuned in a way that the private flows to the adaptation related activities will be in a seamless flow. Secondly, there need to be reforms in the process as well as rules and regulation in terms of the multilateral banks, so that they will be in a position to quickly mobilize the private funds. And also there need to be a review of the global vertical funds in the name. So what is the finance that is prevailing across the globe in terms of public as well as private finance, so that if we can able to come to know what is the amount that is present within the public and what is the amount that is present within the private, we could able to make changes in these multilateral banks as well as the other economic rules accordingly. And then the credit agencies need to get sensitized for the reforms as well as the changing in the rules by the bank that is going to happen. Why? Because most of the climate projects that is going to be funded by these banks need to be positively appreciated by these credit agencies by knowing the outcome of those credit that is going to be dispersed by those multilateral banks or other banks for the climate related activities. If they are not sensitized with those outcome that is going to happen because of this credit, means there could be a misunderstanding that they will be providing the lower amount of credit or they will be assigning low value to the banks, as a result of which the values of the banks will get reduced, and after that the banks will get hesitate to lend to such kind of climate related activities. So if that should not happen, means the the credit agencies need to get sensitized. So this is what the analysis or the details that is brought out by the emission gap report and the ways to increase the private fund is about. So what is the initiatives that is being taken by India for the climate adaptation is, so right now India is promoting the pulses production. Why? Because it is mostly the pulses are mostly drought resistant as well as highly water efficient crop. So it requires less amount of water to produce more amount of crop, and also at the same time it reduces the nutrition deficiency that is prevailing across the country. So this is the one of the first means for the climate adaptation activities being promoted by India, and then promotion of the clean energy. So right now our economy is based on fossil fuel based economy, and right now the government is promoting the different means of clean energy to transform ourselves from the fossil fuel based economy to clean energy based economy. And then the already built infrastructure is being revamped, and the new infrastructure that is going to build is also being made in a way that they are resilient against the climate related disaster that is happening because of the climate change. And also we should know government is promoting the integrated public transport, so that there will be limited usage of private vehicles, which in turn will be reducing the carbon footprint that is occurring in the transport sector. So these are all the other areas other initiatives that is being promoted by the government of India for climate adaptations. So let's have a look into the United Nations Environment Program which is releasing the emission gap report. So this United Nations Environment Program is created during 1972, and it is the leading global authority on the environment. It sets the environmental related agenda, and it will help the state to formulate policies which is sustainable, and then to implement the policies without any hindrance. And also they release reports like Global Environment Outlook, Frontiers, Invest to Healthy Plant, apart from the emission gap report which has been released recently, and it is headquartered in Nairobi, that is Kenya. So this is what the details in relation to the United Nations Environment Program is about. So what we need to study further is, we should know about United Nations Framework for Convention on Climate Change, and then the other two convention of Convention to Combat Desertification, and then Convention for Biological Diversity, and what are all the pledges made by India in those respective convention, and what are all the relative statute, state act, or the domestic laws being made in recognition for these international conventions by India. So these are all the other things which we need to be aware of. The topic, holding each other up. So the news is related to building up our innovation ecosystem with the help of the community ownership. So the news is centered around innovation and the regulation related to the innovation. The news is linked with civil service examination through prelims, a topic called Indian polity and governance, and then under mains GS paper 2, GS paper 3, it is linked with achievements of Indians in science and technology, indigenization of technology, and developing new technologies. So these are all the areas under which the news is being linked. So the article centers around the community participation. See, whenever a government is making a policies, programs, or schemes, means if the community is going to take the ownership of those policy or programs or schemes only, it will get successfully implemented. Otherwise it will not get implemented, and then there will be wastage of resources, and then it will be leading to some other negative things. The best example for the thing which has gained the global attention because of our community ownership is Amul, because of which India has become India has become first in terms of milk production in the world. So it is because of the community ownership. Likewise, if the community ownership is going to happen in the innovation sector or innovation side, means surely there will be a boom in the innovation that is going to happen or happening in India. So according to the India's Global Innovation Index, we have raised from 81st rank to 40th rank. So which is the greatest achievement. This has happened because of liberation of innovation and then entrepreneurship that is happening in India in terms of policies, rules and regulations, and then easing the innovation from the tedious government process. So these are all the things that has been done by the government to promote the innovation. For further improvement from here to next level will be happen only because of the ownership that has been taken by the community. If it is the community ownership that will enable for further strides in the innovation. So this is what the suggestion or the article is centered around. So in this step, the Atal Tinker Lab has been set up in school, so that 1 million child will be made as neoteric innovators. That is, neoteric innovators are those innovators who will be adapting to the rapid change in the technology, so that they could be able to bring the innovative solution to the problem that is happening for humans in day-to-day lives. So this is what the aim of this Atal Tinkering Lab is about, which is being implemented under Atal mission, which is being implemented by Niti Aayog. And then nearly 10,000 Atal Tinkering Lab has been set up in schools, universities and different parts of different areas of the country, and then nearly 75 lakh students have been benefited from this Atal Tinkering Lab setup. And then if this nearly 60% of this Atal Tinkering Lab, it is a tinkering lab where technologies like IoTs, 3D printing, AI, so on and so forth will be available, which will enable student to create a science curiosity among the students, those who are accessing this lab which is present in their schools or universities. And in that, out of the 10,000 Atal Tinkering Lab, nearly 60% of the Atal Tinkering Lab is present in rural areas. So what the author is saying is that if any damage that is going to happen to the properties that is present, like in the case of 3D machines or the AI devices, like so on and so forth, if any damages that is going to happen in the Atal Tinkering Lab that is present in rural areas, is taking more number of time to recover from this damage. For example, if the damage or in the case of 3D machines or the AI devices that is happened in tinkering lab that is present in Delhi, means within a fraction of days those damaged device is getting replaced, so that students could able to revamp their technology related activities without any hindrance. But if it is happening in the rural, means because of the lack of ownership that is prevailing, and then lack of resources that is present in rural areas, though it is taking more number of times to recover from any of the damages that is happening within the Atal Tinkering Lab. So to overcome this, Karnataka, Andhra, and then Jammu Kashmir are trying to form, they are implementing a scheme called Atal Tinkering Lab Sardi, where the program aims to create a cluster of Atal Tinkering Lab, which will be overseen by a committee which contains students, teachers, principals, and other experts related to the technologies, and then instructors. So these are all the person will be manning the committees, and under this committee only a cluster of Atal Tinkering Lab will be coming. So we could able to see that more number of stakeholders will be involved in governing the Atal Tinkering Lab that is present under the committee. So it brings a sense of ownership among the different kinds of stakeholders who have been involved in the committee. So it will further the innovation that is happening in India, most importantly in rural areas. So this is what the article is centered around. But it has one challenge. What is the challenge is that there need to be shift in the mindset of the schools, most importantly government schools. The government schools need to understand that the infrastructure that has been provided to them is from the taxpayers' money. So if the school is going to gain some benefit from this innovation, means surely it will have positive outcome for the taxpayer also. So that kind of shift in the mindset of those schools need to be brought out, and this is what the only challenge being quoted by the article or the author of the article. Okay, let's have a look into what does this Atal Innovation Mission is about. It is India's flagship innovative initiative to promote a culture of innovation or entrepreneurship in India. It is created during 2016, as I said, to promote a ecosystem of innovation and entrepreneurship across schools, colleges, MSMEs, industries, etc. And it is being implemented by Niti Aayog. And then it contains components like Atal Tinkering Lab, Atal Incubation Center, Atal New India Challenge, Atal Community Innovation Center, and then Atal Research and Innovation for Small Enterprises, and then Mentor for Change program. So all these programs are centered around promoting innovation and entrepreneurship across the country. So what is the challenges that is now prevailing in innovation in India is there is lack in research and development. When compared to other developed countries, India lacks in terms of resource that has been spended in the R&D and the resource that has been efficiently utilized is also lacking in the R&D department. Secondly, there is a huge delay in terms of applying as well as giving the patents to the innovation that is happening in the country is also one of the hindrance for the innovation. And then lack of collateral. See, the banks are, whenever an entrepreneur or innovator is going to do a project, means surely there need to be, he need to have some kind of monetary resources. For that, if he is approaching the bank, means surely he will be faced with the hindrance of collateral. Such kind of collateral like requirement for accessing credit is acting as hindrance for the major boost of innovation. And then lack of innovative culture or supporting innovation supportive culture that is prevailing across the society is also one of the hindrance for or the challenges for the promotion of innovation in India. So what is the opportunity for innovation India has is that first and foremost is the demographic dividend. It is the youth population that provides one of the major opportunities for the innovation sector in India. Secondly, there is huge rapid strides in terms of education that is happened in India in the past 3 decades. And then the digital transformation that is happening, it promotes the knowledge economy in India by ensuring that the information is reaching the nook and corner of the country who could able to access the digital technologies. So through this digital means, the democratization of the knowledge is been happening, so which is the huge potential for or the opportunity for the innovation in India. So these are all the other challenges and then opportunities for innovation in India is about. So what need to be studied further is, we should know about the research foundation which has been created recently. What are its structures, what are its function, and what are all the targeted areas this foundation is being aimed at. Secondly, you should know about what is the schemes that is related to science and technology, which is being bought out by Department of Science and Technology and then implemented by Science and Technology Department. And then ISROs and then its recent mission. So these are all the other areas which we need to be aware of. So with this, we have reached the end of this topic. UNESCO names Kozhikode as City of Literature. What does this tag means? See, since the news is linked with a thing of culture, history, historical aspect like this, so the news is related to UPSC under prelims through a topic called History of India and then Indian National Movement, and then in GS paper 1 through a topic called Indian Culture, which will cover salient aspect of art forms, literature, architecture from ancient to modern times. So let's get into the analysis and then other details related to the news. The Kozhikode was added to UNESCO's Creative City Networks. Previously, Gwalior as well as Madhya Pradesh are also other two cities which are being added to the already present 55 cities of already present 55 new cities which are going to join the network. In that, the 7 creative fields of crafts, arts, folk arts, design, film, gastronomy, literature, media arts, musics are given importance under the UNESCO's Creative City Network. Okay, and then here the Gwalior has been recognized for music. So what does this Creative City Network is about? It is created in 2004, which aims to promote cooperation among cities that have creativity as their strategies to solve the urban related problems, as well as creativity as the strategies to promote the sustainable development in the city. And then it has 350 cities in its network, and which is present across 100 countries. And it is aimed and at the same time it aims to leverage the creative, social and then economic potential of the culture. So as I said, it will create the creativity in terms of urban planning, so that the culture will be used as a tool to, or the means to, reduce the urban related problems and then promote the sustainable development in those urban areas. So what are all the previous cities that is present in this network is, so the Varanasi is present in the network for music. Similarly, Chennai is present in the network for music, and then the Srinagar for crafts and folk art, which is very important from the prelims perspective, which which has the potential to get asked in prelims, like in the form of match the following. Okay, why the Kozhikode is called as literature city? Is because of it is home to many of the prominent personalities of the state's literature as well as the cultural world, and then famous media houses or the production houses being are present there, and then most of the famous publishing industries and also the libraries are also present in the Kozhikode. And then Kundalada, the first Malayalam novel, was written in 1887 in Kozhikode only, and it has produced, since it is a powerful, it is a place where more number of production houses has been present. It has produced many films with Kozhikode as the region, and then it is home to many of the theatre professionals. It has contributed to growth of the theatre related activities in Kerala. So that is the reason why the Kerala Kozhikode has been given literature tag under creative network of UNESCO. So what is the objective of the creative city network of UNESCO is to recognize the creativity as the component for urban development, as I said, for the urban planning as well as sustainable urban development, to develop hubs of creativity and then innovation. So this is what the objective, the basic objective is using these creativities to achieve the sustainable development and then promote and reduce the problems that is prevailing in the cities. So what is the area of action where the CCN, that is the Creative City Network, focus on is, the objective is implemented at city level, that is this objective is implemented at the city level and also at the international level by knowledge sharing or the best practice sharing through the conference that is held under the name of Creative City Network, UNESCO's Creative City Network. And then under the annual conference will be happening each year under mayor of each city, which aims to strengthen the tie between the creative city, and this is where the knowledge sharing and then other experience sharing or the best practice sharing will be happening in this annual conference, which is named as the Mayor's Conference. And previously it is held in Brazil, and then this year it is held in Turkey, that is in Istanbul, and next year it is going to be held in Portugal. So what members do, that is those members, those who are part of this Creative City Network, what they will be doing? Once in 4 years, they will be submitting the report. The report contains what are all the things or what are all the activities they have done to achieve the objective of Creative City Networks, and they will also be providing a policy framework, that is what are all the things that they are going to do in the next 4 years to achieve the Creative City Networks objective. So these are all the things being made by the members of this Creative City Network once in 4 years. What need to be studied further is, we should know about the UNESCO's, its structure, function, and what are all the other things it is doing. Secondly, we should know about what are all the UNESCO's heritage sites that is present in India, and what are all the recent sites that has been added to the UNESCO's heritage sites, and their geography also we should be aware of it. Thirdly, the Ministry of Culture scheme. So these are all the areas which we need to be aware of. So this is what the analysis and then the details related to the United Nations UNESCO's Creative City Network is about. So with this, we have come to end of this topic. Why AI Pact on Global Pact on AI matters? So the news is related with artificial intelligence, and then the pact or the summit that has happened in relation to the artificial intelligence in UK. Under prelims, it is related to current events of national and international importance. Similarly, under mains, it is related to awareness in the field of IT, space, computer, robotics, nanotechnology, biotechnology, and issues relating to IPR. So, the Bletchley Park in Buckinghamshire has the history of cracking Edinburgh, which ended the World War II. So such kind of technological related history it has. So this is the place where the current AI summit is being held, and then the AI declaration, which is called as the Bletchley Park Declaration, which we should be aware of this, so that it could be asked in prelims also, and it could be used as a potential point for the mains ranks writing also. Where the declaration is mentioned is that the frontier AI, which is a generative AI model, which has the potential to bring about more number of developments for the different sectors, but it also has the substantial risk from the unintentional issues and then intentional misuse of this frontier AI technology. So this such kind of risk should be minimized. For this, a new kind of pacts need to be made was declared at the Bletchley Park. So this is what the Bletchley Park Declaration is about, and it is being signed by 28 countries, which include India also. So this is what the Bletchley Park Declaration is about, and at the same time, Biden, that is the US president, has passed an executive order where the executive order aims to promote or safeguard the threat that is posed by AI. So what is the executive order is that the order aims to have an oversight on the safety benchmark that is created by the industries for the technology that they are developing, and then the AI companies need to share their test results, that is the developer safety results. It is the developer safety test is the test being carried by every company that is developing a new product, so that such kind of product doesn't have any kind of negative impact on the consumers or the customers, those who are buying those products. Such kind of test will be conducted by every companies, and this test results need to be shared with the federal government. So this is what the Biden's executive order is about. It aims to ensure that the customer or the citizens, those who are going to have the access to the AI products, will not get affected because of its risk that it poses. And then different countries have different varied approach in regulating their domestic artificial intelligence, where in the case of European Union, and recently Artificial Intelligence Act, that is the AI Act, has been passed, which classifies AI according to the user case scenarios. User case scenario means the AI will be classified according to the threat perception that it brings, and then the regulation tightening will be made according to the threat it poses. If it is posing higher threat means, then the tighter regulation will be made on those technologies, and if it is possessing lesser amount of risk means, then similarly lesser amount of tightening of regulation will be made on those technologies. Such kind of user case, that is risk based tightening of regulation, is made on AI Act, which is bought by European Union. On the other hand, United Kingdom has light touch approach. Right now, they don't want to tighten the AI based innovation that is happening in their countries, so that the innovation in term innovation related to the artificial intelligence that will happen seamlessly without any kind of government hindrance. So this is what the approach being taken by UK, but the US has taken the middle path, where at the one end they wanted to ensure that the innovation in the AI should not be stopped because of the tightening of regulation, but at the same time there need to be somewhat monitor that need to be happened, so that the risk that the AI is going posing will get minimized for the customers or the citizens. So this is what the approaches that is being taken by most of the developed countries. So what is the India's stand is? See, the week before G20 summit, what our Prime Minister has said is that there need to be a global framework on ethical AI tools. So this is what the stand of India is about. That is, so India wanted to regulate AI from the risk based and then user arms approach. So there need to be risk based, the tightening of the regulation need to be on risk based, and then the users need not get affected because of the risk that the technology is posing. So this is what the approach being taken, and in echo of this approach only, in the a week before the G20 summit that has happened in India, what our Prime Minister has said is that there need to be a global framework on ethical AI tools. So this is what the India stand is about, and through this perspective only India's regulation is going to be in terms of artificial intelligence. So what need to be studied is, we should know about what is Digital Act that has been recently passed, and then what is artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, machine learning, blockchain technologies, quantum computing, and then uh, virtual reality, augmented reality, and then mixed reality, and then the national cyber policy, and then emergency computer emergency response team, India. So these are all the other areas which we need to be aware of. So this is what the analysis part of the recent declaration in Bletchley Park is about. So with this we have come to a conclusion, come to the end of this topic. Navy veterans sentenced to death in Qatar. What is the option that is prevailing before India to bail out them? Since the news is related with the bilateral relationship between Qatar and India, so under prelims it is linked with current events of national as well as international importance. Similarly, under mains it is linked with bilateral, regional, global grouping agreement involving India's and affecting India's interest. So let's have a look into the details of the news. So right now, 8 Indian ex-Navy personnel have been arrested as well as sentenced to death by the Qatar court because of these, because of what the charge that has been made on them is that the charge is that they have been involved in the spy activities for Israel. So this is what the charge been made on them, and then they were working in the private organization to oversee the induction of Italian stealth submarine U2I2, and then they are working as the spy for the Israel. This is what the blame that has been made on them by the Qatar, as a result of which they have been sentenced to death by the Qatar. So this is what the background of the news is about. And then what the legal process that has happened in Qatar is that during October 22, so once they have been arrested, the India's ambassador in Doha and then deputy head of mission have met them, and as a result of which a consular access has been given to them. And during March 25 this year, the final charge sheet was signed because their limit for applying for bail has been exhausted, so that the charge sheet was filed, and then on this year 26 that is this the past month, they have been sentenced to, they were given the death sentence by the Qatar court. So this is what the legal proceedings that has happened in Qatar. So what the India's response is, so what India has officially said is that India is going to attach high importance to this case. And previously, according to the 2019 report, there were 44 Indians that those who are serving the death sentence across countries like Kuwait, Saudi, Pakistan, UAE. Pakistan, the famous case is Kulbhushan Jadhav case, which we would be all aware of. And then what the author is saying about the option that is present before India to bail all the Indians out of the death sentence that has been given to them is, first and foremost, is the legal process. See, the death sentence has been awarded by the first court of instance in Qatar. So they will be appealing to higher courts. What India can do is that India could support their appeal to the high courts in terms if they are going to take the legal process, and then mercy petition to the Emir of Qatar, because the Qatar Emir has the habit of giving pardon to the people, those who have been sentenced to jail during the Ramadan as well as Eid. So the family members of those personnel could give the mercy petition to Emir for his pardon during Ramadan or Eid, and then the political as well as the diplomatic route. See, India as well as Qatar shares a strong economic ties, where India's 50% of its imported LNG energy requirement is being fulfilled by Qatar, and then it is acting as one of the means for India's transition to clean energy economy. Similarly, in the case of defense cooperation also, there has been increased strengthening of relationship between India and Qatar, and at the same time, Indian citizens have, because of their good obedience that they have shown in the Qatar, they have earned the goodwill name in the Qatar itself. So the Indian citizen is having good name in Qatar. So this are all the positive aspect in terms of the relationship between Qatar and India, and this channels could also be utilized to bail out those people, those who have been sentenced to death by Qatar court. And then the transfer of prisoners agreement, which was signed in 2015 by India and Qatar, also could be utilized as one of the diplomatic option to bail out those people, those who have been detained or arrested or sentenced to death by the Qatar court. So only one challenge that has been prevailing before our diplomats is the polarization that has happened because of the Israel-Hamas war. So because of the Israel-Hamas war, the Arab countries, and then they have shown a strong opposition to the Israel, and there have been increased polarization that has happened. So the persons have been sentenced to death in the name of Israel only. So there is some geopolitical challenges is there, how India is going to negotiate in terms of India is going to negotiate in terms of this sensitive geopolitical challenges is one of the challenge that the author has been quoting in his editorial. What need to be studied further is, we should know about what is liquefied natural gas and what are all the important constituents of this liquefied natural gas. Secondly, we should also know about the Qatar's geography. Thirdly, we should also know about the India's diaspora in Middle East, because Middle East is acting as one of the major continent for our remittance need. Most of our major chunk of remittance from abroad to India is happening from Middle East only. So we have to be aware of the Indian diaspora and the contribution they are making to the development of the overall Middle East economy. So this is what the analysis in relation to the news is about, and with this we have reached the end of this topic. Okay, let's have a look into today's practice prelims question. So mentioned in here are the is the practice prelims question. I want those students, those who are watching this session online, please do comment the option point for the question which you are seeing right now on the board. Okay, with this we have reached the end of today's session. I hope it is very useful for all of them, those who are watching. Please do like, comment, subscribe and share Ganesh IAS Academy to get further updates related to the current affairs session and then other session that is going to be brought to you by in the near future by Ganesh IAS Academy. Thank you.